All right, I want to say welcome, welcome. I am so absolutely stoked. Today, we are definitely going to be talking about it's all about the royalty. Now, what do I mean by that? As you saw through our opening video, it's about queens all around the world that are making a positive difference with our pageant, senior pageants group. It's based out of New York City, Rockefeller Center, and they definitely know what they are doing when it comes to pure class and perfection with running an incredible SAM pageant group. We are going to be talking tonight with the president, James Kimsey, as well as with the director, Marianne Hamilton, who was the former Miss Universe. And Senior Universe has done a fabulous job. They want to keep her, so that is why she's in the position she is. And this is exciting, so let's just get started. First, what I'm going to do is just tell you a little bit about James Kimsey. This guy does not stop. I've never seen anyone that just worked as hard as he did. He's a lawyer by trade, professional businessman. He's done so much in his life, and we're going to learn more about him. But right now, I just want to say thank you and welcome, James. Sure do appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's great to be here.
Excellent. What we're going to do is I just basically want to share with you all my heartfelt thanks for your professionalism in running a first-class operation. I'm so impressed. Let's talk about, I got some videos or some slides up here. James, I want to talk about some of the progress of how you got involved with Senior Pageants Group and basically the story of the beginning.
That's really simple. It kind of fell into my lap. I'm not a pageant person. And time and again, what has happened is that the business people that were in charge would bail out, or they would drop the ball, and so people would come back to me as a sponsor and ask me to run it again. The most recent example is well, what happened in Orlando is you know, we had a great system set up. We got hit with two hurricanes, and then Our venue canceled on us at the last second, so we had a week to reorganize, and that's where I step back in and make sure the job gets done. Really, it would not have been possible but for you wonderful ladies working together, and for Marianne and her husband Doug and Carl Dunn. It's definitely a team effort.
Let's talk about Carl Dunn. You are the only pageant group that is in their magazine. What a great relationship, and to have him MC this pageant.
Well, we're the only senior pageant in the magazine. A lot of pageants, because we've become so mainstream, is now adding what they call a classic division or a senior division, but we're actually still the only one in both Pageantry Magazine and in Wikipedia. We actually have our own site in Wikipedia as well. And so we are fairly mainstream, and we have great interactions with other groups and other pageants. And so we try to keep those business relationships solid.
Excellent. Now we'll be introducing Marianne right after our interview and discussions, but she was the former Miss Universe 2022, and now she's director. Let's talk about what her role is going to be, or what it is, and where you are.
Her role is essentially, this was originally supposed to be a queen run pageant. And because of different little issues that have come up over the years, it hasn't been. It was never meant to be a James pageant. And so the fact that Marianne is in the driver's seat now, my job is to help and advise when I'm asked, and to jump in when I'm asked, but not to step on people, and to basically make life a little bit easier if at all possible. But it's essentially Marianne's bailiwick to run as she sees fit. I'm not going to interfere with any of that. And then it becomes, with Marianne, it becomes a true queen run pageant. It means a queen with a crown actually gets to run it the following year and is on the planning board.
I think that's excellent, James. And what's really cool is your background. You make sure everything is done, crossing T's and dotting I's, just perfection. And I mean, that's what I absolutely observed. And
it's not perfection; it's more crisis management. But the idea is to be available when asked to jump in. And the idea is to let you ladies really run with it. The difference in this pageant, as opposed to everybody else, we try not to stand on too much protocol and too many rules. We are pretty much a free spirit. If the ladies come up with an idea and there's no reason to say no, we try to make it happen. So I think that's a good thing. And now we've got the best group of ladies in the 7 years I've been involved that can actually see that through.
The website we're talking about, Miss Senior USA, Miss Senior Universe, is seniorpageantsgroup.com and missseniorUSA.com. So keep that in mind. I would suggest to look through this and see what's coming up. We have pageant dates coming up. But let's talk about the queens. You said you had the best lineup for tonight. It was absolutely exciting. I really believe you had chosen the best. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
It's not to me. We had good judges. And I think overall the judges, especially John from Wikipedia and Randy Jones from Village People, they're the ones that made the decision. So the people that won and were chosen because it's understood that they will become more involved, and it's understood that they truly deserve to be in the positions that they're in. We have, for instance, we have the Senior Sweetheart title, which is the oldest senior pageant title on the planet. It was started by Lenny Kaplan in the 70s as a fundraiser for his Lions group. It went national. And unfortunately, it ended in 2014 when Lenny's wife passed, and then he became sick and later died. But Lenny was a great advisor when this thing first started. And that's the title you hold now. It is really the catbird seat of pageant titles, because you can do anything you want with it. And you can still compete as well. So that's a good thing. We're the only ones that do a Grande title, which is the older ladies, 89, 90, 91. And we're the only ones that actually do not limit the age of people coming on board. So we try not to. We've got some great people. We've got multi-language individuals. So this is the first time we're beginning to translate the website and follow translations into Chinese and Spanish. We have ladies who were actually in the movie Miss Congeniality, which was fun, and that includes Debbie Nelson. And then we have the Troller Queen, which is Elin, and Elin is going to be having a TV interview, I think, this Thursday. And so everybody is very, very good. There's really not a downside to any person that's involved.
Well, and absolutely incredible women. It's not about, each one is professionally successful, retired, and still going on, and they don't quit. I know that the Miss Senior Universe, she Jen Sakakini, she's in her statements, I'm going to live till I'm 120 years old. So she's absolutely amazing, and she appreciates it. The new reigning Senior Universe, Miss Jen Sakakini, she is basically over everybody in the teamwork in making it happen. Let's talk about that.
Well, the person who's actually over everybody is Marianne first.
Right.
And,
okay.
And then Jeanne, as a winner, is in charge of the Senior Universe pageant for this coming year, along with Becky and Joanne. And then Debbie Nelson, you and Elin are in charge of the Senior USA pageant, which is looking like it's going to go on a cruise ship. And then Karen Russo, who's not pictured, is in charge of the United States pageant of the 50 to 60 group. And that looks like it's going to be in Miami towards the end of the year. So this group has grown leaps and bounds, and it's a good thing too, because each and every one of you is very, very qualified.
I'm just impressed with these women. It was such wonderful to meet them personally too. I love this photo of you, James. Let's talk about the twirlers. They opened up. They were fabulous.
Well, in any pageant, you might need a little bit of time. So we were reorganizing because we lost our original venue, and the venue we were in was smaller than anticipated. So the twirlers actually helped break so the ladies could change and get ready for the next phase of the pageant. Elin Jones, who's directly off my right shoulder, won super senior, and actually her energy is just incredible. If you take a look at her talent, she just she just enjoys the entire time. And the fact that she is in charge of this entire group and actually performed with them during the pageant is very impressive. Randy Jones, who's the original Cowboy in the Village people, I have a background story. Is Randy and I met, I was home on leave in 1979. And my wife and I at that time, my wife was Yolanda, was a professional dancer. And she and I won the Rocky New Year's Eve dance contest with Dick Clark. And the Village People was the featured band at the time. And so Randy and I actually met over 40 years ago in an actual event. So it was funny to connect again, 40 years later in the same town.
That is excellent. Absolutely excellent. I just love this photo, and you worked very hard in making sure. And I love this photo of you too. It's just right before the pageant. All of us are getting ready to get it started. But what were you thinking right here?
That looks like a tired old fat guy.
No, it doesn't.
Well, we had just set up the table with the crowns and the trophies and things, and we very specially order our crowns and trophies. So the trophies are actually crystal, and they weigh a little bit. So the larger trophies, like the one you received, is 10 to 12 pounds, which is unusual for a trophy. And then we order our crowns very special, that a form of the crown could be bought online, but we have ours made with special crystals that they catch the light better. And then the same thing with our sashes and things like that. So we had just set up the table, and we're preparing to get started. That's the cane I still have to walk with, since the hurricane knocked me off my feet a little bit. But we're all good to go. And actually, I'm using that cane less and less every day.
I'm really proud of that. And during the hurricanes, when it had to be canceled from November to spring, you were actually in a coma for 40 days. And look at you. They didn't even think you'd live. And you were up walking around. You were doing incredible things you wouldn't have even told. That's why I think you became everybody's hero, showing up at the pageant, having the pageant, and not letting anything stop.
Well, you have to realize, again, a team effort. Carl Dunn is a very close personal friend, as is Marianne and her husband. And without those three people, this would not have been possible at all. Actually, the venue was found by Marianne calling around once we lost where we were going to be. And the fact of the matter is that everybody had a part to play. My part was actually small compared to theirs.
Excellent. And giving much tribute to the team. And I just am impressed with everybody. I want to say thanks. What I want to do now is just turn the attention over to Marianne. We're going to get to know her a little bit more as director of Senior Pageants Group. And then we're all going to get on and discuss, well, what's happening in the future. So right now, Marianne, it was, and she still is in my eyes. She's always going to be a queen in my eyes. She's regal. She works like anything, and you would not know her young age of being 70 and so much that she has gone through, but she is queenly, standing straight up, and you would never know, as an incredible example for all other pageant queens. With that, I want to introduce Marianne.
Thank you so much, Christine. What a beautiful, beautiful introduction. I don't know if I can possibly, I should just go home now. after that.
We have some wonderful pictures I want to show about you, but you did an incredible year as Miss Senior Universe. And as James mentioned, it would not have happened for us to have the pageant if it wasn't for you, your husband, and Carl Dunn. When you first won compared to now you have been moved to director. I wouldn't want to have you leave either. I would definitely have you there. But what were your thoughts from the beginning to how it is now? Let's talk about that journey and the benefits.
It was, everybody says the word surreal when they win an award, an Oscar or something, but indeed it really, really was, because you need to understand that I was never a pageant person. This didn't happen until I was well into my late 60s. I competed for the first time in 2019 in the Miss Senior Universe pageant. Did not do well, but I had a wonderful time and met incredible women whom I wanted to, stay connected with, and decided that I would attempt it again last year. But for me, having grown up somebody who was very, very shy, bookwormy, overweight, got good grades and did all those kinds of things, but never, ever, ever thought that I could be in this arena. It was very, very just, something out of my consciousness. And it took me probably a month or two to kind of wrap my brain around the fact that I actually had this big crown and this title. And once I kind of embraced that new aspect of my life, then I really, really started to enjoy it. And I started exploring options for appearances, and people started asking me to come and be in parades and do this and do that. And that was, again, something very, very foreign to me, but pretty cool. and I started really, really enjoying it. And I've had, the last year has been just superb, spectacular, all those, superlatives. Opportunities came my way that I never could have anticipated. And I wanted to take advantage of as many of them as I had time for and the energy for. Mm-hmm. And it's been something just, life-changing for sure.
What I have here is, I'm going to show this again. I'm just reading through this. Miss Senior Universe, you deserve to be celebrated. Pageant winner celebrates achievement. We're going to talk about your achievements. Refusal to accept that age dictates boundaries. Senior Universe pageant is a journalist in her 60s from St. George. You deserve to be celebrated. So with that, let's talk about what you've been doing with the Miss Senior Universe World Senior Games Hall of Famer. And I just want to go through some of these awards. It just goes on and on. So let's discuss that.
Okay, where would you like to start?
Your Huntsman Games.
Oh, sure. So I've, through a variety of circumstances, became a race walker about 25 or so years ago. I had been a jogger, but never very successfully, never quickly. And I took up weightlifting and got obsessive about it because, you know, it did great things for my body. And then I ended up tearing a disc out of my neck. And my surgeon said, no more running, no more weightlifting. And I was pretty taken aback. So long story short, I started walking during all of my rehab. And for whatever reason, I was able to do that successfully. And I became a participant in race walking. And I was trained by a couple of ex-Olympians and really loved it. So one night, handsome Doug, my wonderful husband, was Googling, you know, looking around for places in the US where I could compete in a race walking event. There aren't very many. It's a really unusual sport. But this thing came up called the Huntsman World Senior Games. And, you know, I kind of choked on that word senior, but it sounded like fun. And it was going to be, we were living in Northern California at the time. And Doug said, oh, you know, Utah, he had lived in Northern Utah in a prior existence when he was a school teacher many years ago. And he said, Utah's beautiful. You'll love it. Let's just go there for a vacation and we'll compete in the games. So we did. And wonder, I came home, I had 3 events and I got 3 medals. So of course I wanted to do that again. So we came back the next year and the next year. And then by the 3rd year, Doug actually had been laid off and he, you know, had a little bit too much gray hair to find a new job in Silicon Valley. So we were driving through the gorge coming to St. George to come to the games that year. And I just looked at him and said, you know, what are we worried about a mortgage in California for? Let's just move to St. George. So we did. We put the house on the market about 2 weeks later, and we were here 2 months later, and we became actively involved in the senior games. We were requested to become the race directors for the race walking and the power walking, which we did. And we have been race directors ever since. And in that time, I've been competing as well. And I've collected a nice group of medals, which has been really sort of rewarding after, you know, a childhood of being terrified of physical activity and PE classes. So it's been really, really kind of a unique experience and a unique journey for me.
You say that so humbling. Let's talk about 40 medals. Something like that, maybe more than that.
43 golds and some silvers and some bronzes. And
all right. All right. Yeah, you're a little bit humble on that one. What's interesting enough, I mean, look at you from there, and you say so much about your childhood, like it wasn't very pleasant for you, but look at you. You are now, how old were you in this picture?
That was after I was crowned. So I was 68, about to be, I had just turned 68, I guess, because I just turned 70 last November. And it's been not quite 2 years. So yeah.
I mean, it's just gorgeous. All that hard work leading up to it. You didn't know probably at the time because you didn't think about it, about being Miss Universe.
Oh no. No, I mean, for me, but you know, there are very, very, very strong parallels between the Miss Senior Universe and Miss Senior USA pageant and the World Senior Games competitions. They're all about being the very best you can be at any age and not accepting that your age dictates, you know, some sort of limitation. It's putting yourself out there, trying something new. In the senior games, we have 35 different sports. You know, in Miss Senior USA, Miss Senior Universe, we have a number of different categories in which people can compete, women can compete. And it's really, really just a question of thinking differently about yourself and expanding what you think is possible and just going for it.
How did you find out about Senior Pageants Group?
Good question. Actually, my husband, Doug, and I were at the National Senior Games in Albuquerque a few years back. I think it was in 2019, as a matter of fact. And there was a woman standing there at the at the entrance where the athletes picked up their packets at the convention hall. And she was wearing a lovely gown and a sash and a crown. And her sash said, Miss Senior Utah. And we were there in New Mexico. And I thought, oh, wow, didn't know there was a pageant in Utah. And so I went up and spoke with her briefly. And we just sort of, you know, chatted briefly. And then I saw her again a couple months later here in St. George. and she was wearing the sash again. So I spoke with her, and she said, oh, you should think about this. And she directed me to the website, and she said, take a look around, talk to James, the pageant director, and see what you think. So I did, very quietly. I didn't tell Doug because, again, something I'd never done in my life. And I was sure he would think I was completely, insane. And that was, I guess, in July. And I think I didn't actually tell him until September. And then the pageant was going to be coming up in November or December. So I figured it was time to kind of say, hey, guess what? And he was wonderful about it. And he said, if it's something you want to do, just go for it. He said, you do so much volunteer work and stuff for other causes and people and things, and you don't have that much time for yourself. Just do something, And so I thought, okay, why not? And I did. And in fact, I had the conversation with James, and he was hysterically funny, and he was very encouraging. And he was a big part of why I decided to participate that first year in 2019.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's excellent. We have you right here. This is the Global Beauty Awards. Was that before or after?
This was last year in May. And amazingly enough, that was the award for physical fitness, which was lovely, but even more surreal because my fellow finalists are, in their 20s and 30s, and some, I think one was in her teens. So when they called my name, I just thought, no, they made a mistake. That's just not even realistic. So that was a lovely, lovely thing to happen. I was very, very happy.
Congratulations. That's absolutely amazing. Had a little tickle in my throat. Let's move on. I put comparisons here. I mean, you look the same whether you're in your gown or not, because it's your presence, your stature, the way that you walk, you stand. So I think it's incredible. Let's talk about your childhood. What happened? I mean, where were you at? Because it doesn't look like it was your best time.
I grew up in Sacramento, California. I had a very, 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 very happy childhood, very stereotypical suburban. I was the youngest of 4 children, the only daughter. So I was very, very, very much welcomed and very cherished. There were 9 years between my youngest brother and myself, because I guess my mom had had a couple of miscarriages. So by the time I came along, they were very, very thrilled to have a girl. And I was, spoiled in some ways, but not obnoxiously so, I hope. I was just, very, very much adored. And my family, my mother was also a writer. She had been a journalist. She wrote for Ladies' Home Journal and 17, all those kind of magazines from that era. And then when she started having babies, she stayed home and wrote advertising copy for radio and television. And so I always grew up around words and, playing word games and crossword puzzles and Scrabble and that kind of thing. And I kind of thought that's how all families were. My brothers were very into writing and words as well. And so that was just kind of that interesting bubble that we all lived in a very, very insular, very, very devout Catholic family. And we loved each other. And we loved food. We're Italian Catholic, so food's a big part of the the culture. And that was something that, Italians demonstrate their love through feeding you lots and lots and lots of food. And so I was not exactly a svelte human for a big chunk of my life, which was okay. I was kind of comfortable with that. But then I think when I got into my 40s, I kind of thought, I don't know that I want to continue being this way. I like to be a little bit more fit. And that's when I started the whole running and weightlifting and all that kind of thing.
Well, that story's inspiring. That's high. And I hope you don't mind sharing that, because we could have all thought, many of us, we're unsure of ourselves when we're younger through whatever situations, and we're not perfect and this and that, but you have risen through it. And age does not matter when you're ready to make a difference in your health and your diet and everything. You're just such a success story.
Oh, thank you. I think one of the things that was most attractive to me about this particular pageant system is that it's not, a stereotypical beauty pageant. It's not, ladies walking around in high heels and bathing suits because, at our age, that's a really bad idea. But it is more about, who you are inside. What do you bring to your community? What do you contribute to society? What impact do you make? And I really, really thought that was a significant thing. And, I do a lot of volunteer work. I've always loved, being of service and doing things that make people happy, I guess. I'm an Italian pleaser. And so, I loved the emphasis on making a contribution and making a difference. And I think that's really, really what made me think that this was something in which I wanted to participate.
Excellent. Now here you're at the Huntsman Game. Now, what do you do for the Huntsman Games? And tell us a little bit about it. So anybody that may be interested to start power walking to be able to attend.
Sure. So the Huntsman World Senior Games are held the first 2 weeks of October every year. They're in year 30, blah, 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 38, maybe perhaps this year, or maybe even longer. And it is a series of competitive events, everything from horseshoes to triathlon. I mean, it's everything in between of every particular skill level you could possibly imagine. And anybody who's over 50 is eligible to compete. And we have athletes in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, some in their 90s. We've had a 104-year-old at one point. And, at that age, if you show up and complete your event, you're probably going to get a gold medal because there's not a lot of competitors probably. And we laugh that, if you can just outlive your competition, you'll get the gold basically. Anyway, along with my husband, I am the race director for the race walking and the power walking. Race walking is a very specific Olympic sport that requires a specific technique as far as how your knee is when your heel strikes the ground, and a lot of stuff that I could bore you to tears with, and you'd lose all of your viewers, so I won't do that. But anyway, and then power walking is basically just a different, easier version of that, where keep one foot on the ground at all times and just walk fast and don't run. And that's a very inclusive sport that basically enables anybody that wants to come and be a part of the Senior Games to take part, which is really cool.
Is there one that you prefer over the other, the race walking or the power walking?
Power walking is certainly easier because in race walking, we actually have judges around the track. So there are 3 different distances. The first one is 1,500 meters, which is basically 3 3/4 times around the track. 3,000 meters, which is 7.5 times around the track, and then a 5K, which is 3.1 miles, which is typically done on a road around, somewhere in St. George. And in the track events, we actually have race officials from the USA Track and Field Organization. And they're there, they're down on their knees looking at your knees, and they never see who you are, what your face is, but they're basically judging your technique. And you can feel like you've done a really, really terrific job, but then all of a sudden they're shoving a yellow warning card in your face saying, okay, your knee's soft or you're running or something like that. So it's a pretty technical sport. Anyway, all that said, power walking is much easier. As long as you don't run and you're just trying to walk fast, it's a very, very, forgiving sport, and it's super fun.
Well, because of you is how I got introduced to it. And yes, I have books I've ordered watching YouTube with my husband, because definitely we want to do that too. Now, your husband has been your right arm and support with this. Look at these wonderful couple poses. Let's talk about your journey together in the Pageants group.
Oh gosh. Well, as I said, he was very, very supportive with the crazy idea when I brought to him that one night and said, okay, I think I want to do this. And he said, terrific, let's go do it. And so he came that first year and was terrific. And then the next year, unfortunately, right before we went to Las Vegas for that pageant, I knew that I had a lump in my right breast. And right after the pageant, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So he was about as fabulous and supportive and loving and wonderful as he could possibly be throughout that entire journey. He took me to every single doctor's appointment, every single radiation treatment, everything. He's just been there, cheerleading for me the whole time. And then when I decided that I wanted to sort of compete again as a way to sort of take back my personal power, after going through all the cancer treatments, he said, yeah, let's do it again. So he came with me again last year in Las Vegas, and was very, very, very thrilled when I was crowned. And he has been nothing but supportive. And then this year, when we just had the pageant in Orlando, he was I think James dubbed him the director of transportation and operations. He was our van driver. So he got all the ladies to and from all the events, and he went up to the villages and picked up the twirlers and brought them back. And he just was there to help everybody with everything they needed. And he was as cute as he could possibly be.
He was absolutely amazing. In fact, I told my husband, I say, do you see how Doug is doing this? He's perfect model for you to follow after. He was such a gentleman. Your husband was, and
he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
It was wonderful. So we have you in the parade now. Did you get response from other cities or to be in their parades? Did this word get out, and where did you go?
Yeah, a couple of times. I've had a couple of people email me. In some cases, I found out about parades and just said, I mean, that's part of being the title holder, is that you seek out opportunities for appearances. And fortunately, in our county, there are lots and lots of parades. Utah loves its royalty. They love crowning queens and having parades and all that kind of thing, and featuring the royalty in their parades. So it was really, really not too difficult to say, okay, I have this new title. Can I be in your parade? And they all said, oh, yes, of course, please come and join us. So this is the one on the shot on the left is with my good friend, Mo Atkin. He was driving our other good friend's car. And that was really, really super fun. I think that was the Washington County parade last year. And that was a ball. It was great. And then the picture in the pink gown was the Global Beauty Awards from 2021, I believe.
Now you competed against all ages, and you
yes.
still came out as a winner.
Well, in this one, in the pink Disney princess gown, I was actually a finalist. And then the last year in the golden black gown was the year that I actually received that trophy, which was lovely.
I'm impressed.
All my fellow finalists were all different ages, for sure. Crazy.
That is excellent. Absolutely excellent. Marianne, thank you so much for sharing. It's just wonderful to know life is not over after 60.
Oh,
you
no.
can just start beginning, and you definitely have proven it over. What are the goals you have next? I mean, the next 10 years. You're 70, a young 70.
Well, the immediate goal is to be as helpful as possible in getting the pageant, back onto track. With COVID, we had to combine the Miss Senior USA pageant, which is typically in the spring, with Miss Senior Universe, which is typically in November, December. And we had to put them both together because we wanted to make up for, those who had been unable to be crowned. And I had had the crown for about a year and almost a half. So it was time for me to give it to somebody else. So anyway, my goal now as executive director is to see that things get on track and that this truly becomes a production of women, by women, and for women. And then to, bring up the next generation of people to take it on and make it a huge success, hopefully.
That's excellent. You're definitely going to accomplish that. Let's talk about the new reigning Miss Senior Universe.
Oh, she's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. She is, Jeanne is brilliant. She holds 2 master's degrees. She speaks 5 languages fluently. She plays the flute. She has established an international scholarship fund for Egyptian and Oriental dance students. She came to the US. I believe her parents borrowed $38 and gave it to her. And she didn't speak a word of English. And she landed here and started her phenomenal journey. And here she is. And she just makes me feel like I've wasted my entire life. She is really extraordinary. Amazing. And she's lovely. Her personality is just so endearing and sweet. I love talking with her.
Likewise, she is in her 10th year of Spanish, and she said next in 20, she has the years when she does it. She said next, I think it's in 2026, she's going to learn Arabic and
Well, of
go.
course, yes.
Yeah,
Of course. I mean, the bottom line is that she is the best possible person to represent senior pageantry, I think, at an international level, certainly because of her fluency in several languages and her understanding of other cultures. We tend to be kind of tunnel vision in the US. I think most of us just speak one language, and we don't have a big understanding of a global perspective, but Jan certainly has that. And so I think she will represent us beautifully.
I certainly agree. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. What we're going to do now, I'm so excited. We're going to bring everybody on. And we just spoke with Marianne Hamilton, who's now director of Senior Pageants Group. And let's have some conversations with what's going on next. I have some slides that we can start it off with. And the queens and the next pageants, the next year of goals. So I'm going to turn it over to you two just to kind of fill us in. Oh, I had to show you this picture. I love this photo. I don't know where I found it, but of both of you, and it is absolutely darling in my mind.
That was last year during the that was James, wasn't that the MLK Day parade?
That was MLK Day, yes.
Yeah, during the pageant in January of 2022.
That is excellent, beautiful. And I have another one, but we'll go back to now. One thing I want to point out, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys. But you took us to NASA. I absolutely love that, and we went to Gatorland and had a blast. But how clever was that? It was such a thrill. Let's talk about this next year.
James, go for it. I've been babbling for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, no problem. Well, this following year is Senior United States, what we call the babies. And they were nicknamed the babies by our grandames. And it looks like we're going to be able to pull that off towards the end of the year, beginning of next year in Miami. Our Senior United States actually lives in Miami now. She lost her mother, and she's moved down there, and she's very, very excited. Our Senior Universe ladies would like to return to Las Vegas and start there. So that's where we're going to be going. It will be after New Year's, obviously, but Chinese New Year begins in the middle of February, right before the Super Bowl, which is also in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of things that are coming up. And then our Senior USA, some of the discussions have been to put that on a cruise ship. But a lot of people get seasick. A lot of people don't handle cruises that well. And cruises tend to be legionnaires in COVID places. So yeah, getting organized and getting everybody set up for that is going to be interesting. But my job is, when people make decisions, is to find some way to make it happen. Just like the last pageant, when someone said, okay, well, our venue canceled out, and said, well, what do? We had a week, and everybody still wanted to do a pageant. So thanks to Marianne and Doug and Carl, we managed to pull it off.
Well, James, don't discount your contributions. I mean, this wouldn't have...
Yeah, a short, fat, four-eyed, gray-haired Jewish guy walking with a cane did not contribute that much. You ladies, you and Doug and Carl definitely carried the ball. And so my contribution was just minor in comparison with what everybody put into it. But I can't wait to see, the ladies are involved in the planning, and that includes you as well, Christine. So, we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm definitely excited. One thing I was impressed with, yes, it was a short time to make it happen, but you had it at the best place that probably no pageant has ever been at, and that's at a comedy club. It was perfect. It was endearing. Let's talk about how we got that. It was perfect.
Well, that was thanks to Marianne. Marianne actually found Zach.
We were, all saying, okay, our current venue is not going to be workable. So let's see what we can find. And I just sort of started Googling, you know, theaters in Orlando, and up came this SAK Comedy Lab kept coming up, and I kept thinking, oh, that's, you know, a comedy club, I'm not sure. And then I've, you know, explored a couple of options and they weren't available, something else. And I finally went on SAK's calendar, and there was nothing that was scheduled for that particular span of time on their calendar as far as performances. So I thought, oh, you know, so reached out to them, and they were so lovely and so accommodating and just wonderful to work with. And their whole staff just knocked themselves out while we were there. It was great. It proved to be an excellent option for us.
Well, from comedy club to cruise ship, I mean, we're getting way out of the box, and I love that. Just getting creative, but quality pageants, very much. What we have now is the work is ready for the next part, which we're doing right now, the grouping being on the Queen's side. It's what can we each individually do. James, I'd love you to explain what you do for the ladies, because you surprised me today, and probably the others too, with what you are doing with each role title holder.
Well, what we're trying to do is promote the ladies as much as possible by making their talents and their individual accomplishments known. So we put out, for instance, our judges book, and we put out copies of the videos to, you know, since there's going to be a documentary, we put that out to casting directors, of which I'm connected to a few, and we put that out to America's Got Talent. And you when I was talking to you earlier, you said something about being affiliated with the Grand Ole Opry. So before this call, I actually sent one to the Grand Ole Opry. And if you don't mind, let me see here.
Oh, he's gonna play it. This show's about you guys.
No. You're the hostess. Look at this. We're
There
amazing.
you go.
You can't hear the sound on it. Let's see.
That bow rocked.
Yeah, it's a lit up bow. I don't know how you can get the sound to play or something, but it's on my end I have sound, so maybe on yours. But here's my first thought when I saw that. I thought, there wasn't a full-length mirror. I could have wore a different pair of pants. Man, they were tight. And I thought, oh my God, what do they think of me now? I was thinking of that. But I love fiddle. I grew up playing it. It was my very best friend. And this pageant helped me get reintroduced to a friend that I put away. I'm gonna get emotional.
Well, it's very good. And
really
actually, when I was adopted, I was not a good student, first of all. I had a learning disability, but the two things I could do was instruments and athletics. And when I was adopted in San Luis Obispo, California, I actually played in the California Spring Orchestra as violin.
Very good.
And I wanted to do fiddle, but my folks did not want me to do fiddle. They wanted me to play violin. And so that was an interesting thing. But I was actually impressed, because I do play violin, and I was impressed by your skills. So, you know, congratulations on that.
Well, thank you very much. I loved it. Like I said, it was my best friend. To practice, I would go, because I had it all the time. I would go outside and the neighbors would complain. I'd go inside, my household complains. So it was a little frustrating. So getting up early in the morning doesn't work. You just got to do it when no one's home. But thank you so very much. I have some other photos, but I was impressed that you are doing quite a bit for us. And it just makes us want to do that much more to help out. We have this beautiful, beautiful photo, very regal, of judges and with Marianne, pageant director and president. Let's talk about this. It's a beautiful, beautiful photo.
This looks like as we were getting ready to go to the Queen's dinner.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marianne. Yeah.
I was going to say it was the night of the Queen's dinner, which is, you know, a beautiful event that happens each year during the pageant. We all get dressed up in our gowns. We bring our spouses if they're there. We have a beautiful, elegant meal, and we just celebrate. And it's a wonderful time for us all to kind of socialize and network with each other, and just feel like, okay, we are queens. And this time we were in a beautiful restaurant in Orlando that James and I was actually, I think the oldest Cuban restaurant, James.
The oldest Cuban restaurant, right.
Beautiful.
And one of the other queens from St. George, Janine Burton, and I were walking around the restaurant, actually on our way to the restroom, and people kept stopping us and taking us over to their table. And, one woman has since emailed me wanting to be a part of the pageant, and she's going to be competing, I think, in Miss USA soon. Anyway, it just was a beautiful, beautiful evening and just festive. It was just great. So the people in the pictures with me, along with James, are on the left, Marjorie Renner, who was one of our judges, and John Campbell, also one of our judges. John's been with Wikipedia for 20-something years. He's an editor. And Marjorie is a beauty queen from the Philippines. She's just gorgeous.
And very personable, all of them. It was just amazing. So I'm going to get this website out real quick. We're at the end of our interview, darn. But pageant dates are coming soon. Stay tuned. We have each Tuesday night, 9 at night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's all about the royalty. You're going to get the idea, updates there. SeniorPageantsGroup.com or Ms., and that's MSSeniorUSA.com. And what that does is give you the information. Do you know someone over 60? Get them on the site. Let's get them signed up. You never know who the next Miss Senior USA or Miss Senior Universe and all of the other wonderful titles are. Age does not mean a difference. There's a place for everybody. So with that, I want to say thank you, James and Marianne. I have you both on here. And for a last little bit, if there's any final words that you want to say to our viewers.
Christine, I would love to just say thank you so much to you for your enthusiasm, what you bring to the party. Even before, long before our pageant, I appeared on your show, I think last year, before I even knew you were going to be competing. And you have just been such a great proponent, great cheerleader for us. And now you're Miss Senior Sweethearts, which of course you should be. It's entirely appropriate. So thank you for being such a great advocate for senior pageantry.
You bet. And we'll have you definitely back to give us updates. And James, any last final comments?
Last final is I echo Marianne, Marianne has been a great part of this pageant now for a few years. And then I really appreciate your enthusiasm as well. And the energy and just the pure happiness that you showed on stage while performing was infectious. And so that's something we look for. We look, it's the heart of the queen inside and out that this pageant really emphasizes.
Thank you so very much. Everybody did a wonderful job. And it's nice to have Queen sisters, and we get to meet and make a difference together with both of you. So again, thank you so much. I just want to say, everyone, it was a phenomenal night tonight. I told you it was going to be great. Again, you can check this out, recording out on podcast at 9atnight.com/podcasts. It's the number 9atnight.com. And if you want to come on live, you just scroll on the home page, scroll down. There's a big Zoom box that you can click on and just go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every weekday night we have it. Tuesday special just for It's All About the Royalty. With that, thank you so very much, and hope you all have an incredible, very incredible week.
You're gonna break new ground, turn everything around. You're gonna live your life. There's a beautiful day headed your way. Keep your head